Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Merrix and welcome to Reclaim the Confident You, which will be changing soon as we talked about to the Mindful Her Woman. So the last show that we did, we started a 3-part series, and the 3-part series is Organizing for Success. And we talked about what was called the knock box, which I utilize in my home and tell my clients to utilize, etc. So being mindful is organization as well, because if you're organized, things are going to go better in your life. And we went through everything in the knock box, which was a box that organizes you everything A to Z, whether it's your house mortgage, your car insurance, down to your wills, what you want in your life, vacations. I store vacation information in mine as well, but everything is in one location. So today, I wanted to bring to you a healthcare portfolio. And you'll love my example because it doesn't have to be perfect whatsoever. And it's something that will help you greatly if you have, it's like on the go notebook. So organizing, I'm all about 3-ring binders. If you see in my office, you will see everything done in a 3-ring binder and it's all labeled on the side. This one I'm going to tell you about my dad because it's going to be considered for me a healthcare portfolio. And this did not have to be perfect for me. It says Dad, really big on the front. It's not typewritten though, I could have done that. I didn't take the time to do that. And what I kind of want to show you is you don't have to have anything like this perfect. Just have it and it will help greatly. And I'm going to explain to you how that has helped in my life. I have binders, like I said, for everything. Everything in my office that happens, down to my clients, any notes that need to be kept, any programs that I've taken, any kind of training, it's all labeled in there. So all I have to do is pull it out. It's in a binder. It can be on the go. If I want to go to Panera and work from Panera, I can do that. So I want to explain to you about what I call the healthcare portfolio. When you go to the doctor, or this is extremely important, if you have someone who is your advocate, or if you are an advocate. So this happened for me with my dad. And I'm going to open this up and I'm going to share with you how this made my life easier through taking care of my dad's medical life. And taking care through with my life, you see that the folders were in the knock box. So for my husband and I, everything is in there, right down to our dogs. We have everything, and it's in organizational style. This gives you an idea. For you, you might have something that works better, but I'm going to show you how I organize my life and have helped organize my clients' lives as well. And especially many business owners, because they're on the go. And you need to have good organization skills and things that are easy just to pick up and be on your way. So within here, as you can see, it's a 3-ring binder. And I went with my dad, for those of you who, this may be the first time you're in my world. If it is, please do go back and see part 1 of this series, Organization for Success. So this is success in your life, good organization. It just makes your life easier, and that means that you're a mindful person. And it helps you care for you, it helps you care for spouses, partners, parents, siblings, anyone. But right here are doctors. So this was my experience of what had happened. For me, each time my dad went to a doctor, his primary doctor, here is the file folder. Here's a tab folder. They're nice and cheap. You can pick them up and you can write on it. Right here is the name of his primary doctor. If you were to look at the primary, you would see these are things and notes that were happening. So I would update notes. I am a faster typer than I am a writer. So I would go home and type up how his doctor appointment went that day. There is such a program called MyChart now, which is fantastic for all of us. So on MyChart, it will say things, it will say notes. I also keep a copy of the MyChart. MyChart can go into my knock box, or if I'm on the go, it's going 3-ring binder, 3-ring right in here. So these are, like, for instance, this one has notes on here with his primary doctor. And then it said to ask another doctor about questions that had come up while we were in there. And I have a checklist. So I check mark off everything. It's highlighted, it's typed, and here you will see there our checklist where I come in and I will checklist off every time I asked a question. Here is what is great also in your My Chart. If you are savvy to be in My Chart, not everyone, especially a senior who doesn't care for the computer or doesn't feel very comfortable on the computer, that is what something like this is used for as well. And you can see it. It's a tangible item. It's something to hold on to. It's not intangible where you're searching around on your phone or on your iPad and you're looking for it. And not only that, for those who are seniors, if you're taking care of a parent, they are used to this as well. They're used to paper. They're used to looking at everything. They're not used to Google Docs or WordPerfect or, Word or what have you. So in here, this shows all the notes. This has anything in here that was faxed to me that I needed, anything to do with primary. The next one, for instance, we have a kidney doctor. My copies, when I'm at the doctor, get a copy of everything that you can that the doctor has for you, all listed right here. And it's stapled, it's good to go. And I'll tell you why this is so important as we go on here. Because when we get to, let's say we have a hospital visit and someone gets to sit down, for instance, I sat down with my dad, a doctor would sit down with me and say, well, do you have any idea where he was at this point? Well, do you know what medication he's on? And here's what I have found. In the medical world, especially since COVID, as we all know, there's been a change up of not as much staff, etc. Some staff members wanted to tell me that, no, the staffing is fine, but things have changed. Everyone's going to ER. So when it's a friend's dad and my dad, the next thing you know, you're in ER, you're waiting to get to a bed at 2 different hospitals, and you may stay in ER for 24, 36 hours. Depends on when you get there. Yes, that is happening. Yes, it's a true story. Yes, some of you, I'm sure, have been through it. So don't expect that as soon as you get to ER, you're going to easily be shipped off. What also happens is ambulance transportation or transportation van that's going to take you from an ER place. If you have a single ER facility, like in Wadsworth, we have that, and you need hospitalization, you are waiting for an ambulance transportation, which there are several, that will be called by your nurses and doctors. You then will go from there to the hospital that has an open bed for you. That's where you have an open bed for you, but there may not be an open bed at this hospital or this one for 36 hours. You may not have ambulance transport for 10 hours. So this is what we had dealt with in the winter time. I realize there's more sickness in the winter with flus, bronchitis, pneumonia, etc. But this does happen. So I talked to hospital staff about all of those kinds of things, of course, and ER, etc. So in here, this was regarding a patient, which was my dad, and this is all typed up. I typed up everything that anyone sat and talked to me about. I took my laptop into the hospital, and as we sat, I sat and typed up the notes that they told me. The doctors and I knew that I was typing it up. I will tell you something, which is this was actually taught to me when I was like 23 years old. I went with who would be my soon future sister-in-law that I did not know at that time. Her dad was having quadruple bypass surgery at Cleveland Clinic. She had with her a notebook. In the medical world, allow me to tell you something. If you have a notebook, and even if it's a written notebook, you're taking notes, because if you don't take notes, you won't remember. There are so many doctors that come in and out, blood work that's done, medications that are given. It is your right to ask as an advocate or as a patient, what medications are you being given? Because it is easy, even though there's the wristband that beeps, it is easy to give bed A, bed B's medication. I am not knocking the medical system. I'm telling you what the medical system already knows and what I discussed with the nurses and doctors already there. So this is why everyone has to double check themselves, and nurses and doctors become very, very busy. So you are your number one advocate for yourself. And if it's a daughter, a son, a sister, whoever it is, you're an advocate for someone, this is the easiest organization when it comes to a healthcare portfolio. If you want to keep all of your healthcare information in a 3-ring binder, I highly suggest it. Then when you go to your doctor appointment, take your 3-ring binder with you. Ask for a copy of anything that is there for you. As this goes through, here's the next doctor that we have. So for my dad, we had specialists. I made sure if I felt something was a little off to a specialist that we went. And the next thing that we have in here for my dad, very, very lucky because my dad did utilize the VA. So we utilized our doctor system and we utilized the VA. And the VA is there for anyone who has served our country, which is so wonderful, serving our country. And a benefit of that is called the VA. You can have medications that are cheaper. And what we utilized it for was also as a backup. So if one, you still have to go there as a doctor. So if one thing gets checked through your doctor system, it can also be checked over here at the VA. There's no reason not to double check. And let's see if we have the same answer, or sometimes someone at the VA could say, well, there's this medication, or try this test, and it can be a little different. We're very fortunate in this area on Waterloo Road. There is the VA system that is there. So those appointments can be made as well. Thank you to everyone who serves our country. So as I go through here too, one time when my dad went through rehab, here's the rehab, here's my notes. Anything that you receive, like a little pamphlet, etc., is right here. 3-ring it. Now you know what it is that's available to you. If you have any kind of rehab, etc., and the phone number's on here, it's just easy. Health plans, home care. We did have home care for a week. Everything, again, right here. My dad had diabetes, not very bad, I will say, luckily, but he actually kept track of his own numbers. So when we went to the doctor, what did we do? Right here is what he wrote down, his own numbers every morning, every night when it comes to insulin levels. Please keep track if you have diabetes. Keep track of your insulin levels. You'll see what foods raise you, what foods don't, and look through your extra pamphlets. Simple healthcare. If you do your basic checkups, etc., life can be easier. Make sure you go to the doctor. Upcoming bills. I have upcoming bills in here. Why would I do that? Because we know what doctor we've been to. Is there a copay, something that we're going to have to end up paying that wasn't charged this time? Here's all my receipts from each doctor that's been done, 3-ring bind, and in here. After the end of the year, I package this up of anything that I don't need. It gets filed, and if I have to come back to it, I will. Future orders, for instance, if you're going to have a CAT scan, here's the order for it. Usually a doctor will refer it, they'll call it in, but in case they don't, I have been in that situation, you have a copy. After visit summary, this is what gets handed to you. When you're done, this is your after visit. Hold on to this. Hold on to it. Even though it's in your My Chart, I understand that, but if you're at a doctor, you're gonna want to quick reference things that are easy to quick reference. Different notes that I had, x-rays. Here's My Chart prints. This is anything that when you go to check in, x-ray, here's my x-ray right here. They will give a copy to you. They will make it an 8.5 by 11, and they are happy to copy it, hand it over to you in the proper size that you want it. Make sure that you do that. And here's a medications list that we had, and in medications, every medication that you're on. And this is why this one is extremely, extremely important, especially if you have someone who are on many medications. The reason for that is if you land in the hospital or you go to your primary doctor and they've changed the medication, in your My Chart, it does not always hold when now, let's say you go to the kidney specialist, you know what medication you're on, but it's not listed in My Chart. You hope that it is, but not always. So each time, there were 3 times that my dad and I went to the hospital before his passing, which was an easy, wonderful transition in life. I could have never prayed for anything more. But every time we went to the hospital, the medication list was not right. So I had whatever doctor I was at please print me up what medication list you have, and then you go over the medications to see what it is. Even if you have a parent that is in assisted living, you need a copy of the medications. If that parent goes into rehab for a week and then they come back to assisted living, trust me, check the medication list. It makes a very big difference. Any kind of vaccination records, whether you did COVID, didn't do COVID, if you're a flu shot person, if you're a pneumonia person, hold on to the vaccination so you have it. You have a paper yourself that you can actually look at and see. So these are some tips, what I like to call your healthcare portfolio. And in your healthcare portfolio is absolutely everything. You can label it for each child. You can label this for, like I said, spouse, partners, whatever your living situation is. Again, maybe you have a sister who, you help your sister. We have a neighbor who the same, her family was her advocate for her, she was a sister. We all have different situations, but keep an organized folder of it. It doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to have lots of loose papers. Just three ring it, put it in your binder. I also have, and I'll never forget, for my dogs, I have the same thing. And even though you can see it, if it doesn't show up when you go in digitally, and let's say it doesn't have something for your dogs, for your cats, or animals, what have you, I have a copy of it in my folder. I will never, ever forget the time that our dog had been having some liver issues, and enzymes were high, etc. Took Doggy, it was Tommy. I took Tommy to a holistic vet, etc. And I could do a whole show on that. But when I walked in and I had a binder, the veterinarian looked at me and went like this, looked at me here at my binder and was just like, wow, and said, "You're probably the most organized dog mom I've ever seen. It's not hard to be organized. You just have to do it. Take 15 minutes and do it." Everything for my Tommy, all their tests, all their veterinarians, all their shots, everything, one folder. If I have an emergency and I have to go to a veterinary hospital, my book goes with me. Everything is right here and goes with me. And it was so sweet, as I told you on this last show, it was our dog, Maddie. She was actually 16 and a half on that day. And it was her time to transition. Rainbow Bridge is what many call it. It was her time. And I had her, again, I could do another whole show on that, but my veterinarian said, "If I die and come back, I want to come back as your dog." So be the person that you will look at and say, "I wish I had an advocate like that. I wish I had someone who was organized like that in my life." When I sat with a doctor at one of the hospitals, he sat with me, I opened my book, I answered every question, medications, everything. He even said, and this is why I will repeat, that medication is not on that list. And I said, "I realize that. Everywhere I go, the medication list is never updated correctly. It's not that it's a human error fault. The computer isn't necessarily going to hold on to that medication as well. So I'm letting you know that that is something that happens." And he sat with me right beside me and he said, "Thank you so much for having this notebook and taking the notes that you have. I did not know the background on your father, and this helps us so, so much." And it was the same with the nurse. I actually told her, she didn't realize what had happened. I said, "If you scroll down 2 screens on your computer, you will actually find that what you're looking at that you're worried is going to be a problem is calcified. There's no issue here. I know what's going on with my dad. I know what's going on with my dogs. I want you to know the same." And this is the same how my office is. This is the same how my life is when I show you the knock box, and it's everything in your life. And I will tell you, like this or not, whatever your end-of-life wishes are, make sure everyone knows your wishes, have it written out, and then you have a path of where you're going. My dad went through his illness at his end of life quickly. It was easy compared especially to anyone else, and I had a plan of everything. I even knew with hospice what was going to happen, how it was going to go. And I will share with you quickly why. When I was 30 years old, my mom had gotten brain cancer, and she had had rotator cuff surgery done on her shoulder. After the rotator cuff surgery, she wasn't completely healing. She had an MRI done 2 months later, and she had brain cancer spots up her neck and around her brain. I felt like there was nothing I could do. I was helpless. My mom was here dancing at the Wadsworth Moose Club, and my mom was gone 3 months later. There is nothing in life that can prepare you for that. And I had just gotten married, and forever I felt like, what could I have done? Did I do enough? And what I learned through that whole process, it was Mom's time to go, though I would have never thought that. My mom was one of the most active women you would ever see, and fun. My mom was a heck of a lot of fun. And I learned that being a mindful person in your life, as I always tell you, the dash from beginning to end, life is going to happen. I call them life quakes. What I want for you is to be as prepared as possible when the life quakes happen. We can't stop them from happening. We can't control everything that's going to happen. We can't control people. We can't control life. However, if something can make your life easier as you are living your awesome dash, your most happiest, wonderful self, be organized, be prepared as possible, because when things do happen, if we can save our nervous system from being a wreck and us feeling overloaded and overwhelmed, then do it. That's all you have to do. Just take some action, take some steps. So this is your healthcare portfolio. This one was Dad's, very simple. And what I wish for you is that you two get organized. If you have any questions, if you would love to meet up on my page, I'd love to see you. I'm on Facebook, on social media. Look me up under Michelle Merrix, Merrix, and you can friend me. I'll bring you into my women's group as well. It's a private women's group that's on there. And again, you'll see us rebranding and things soon. I wish you well in anything. Feel free to reach out to me and ask me any questions. And as we continue to brand the Mindful Her Woman, this is how you reclaim the confident you, through experience. Experiences gain confidence. Thank you so much, and I look so forward to seeing you for part 3 of organizing for success in your life. That's going to be about projects, like in our household, etc. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.